There was a kid in my class who had a glass eye, and his trick was taking his glass eye out.
Oh, that's not nice. You could hear that they were choking because there was a whistling sound coming from the back of the classroom.
Got the body of a Spitfire. Was it?
Thank you.
Why did the schools never blow up?
I wasn't really that good with my hands. I mean, obviously now I'm brilliant at ladies.
The only thing that I can do is connect 4.
Well, that's as far as you can count. Don't put lots of tools on my arse.
It's time to adjust those shoulder pads, back comb what's left of your hair, and jump into the DeLorean for a look back at what's possibly the best decade anyone could ever have grown up in.
Shall we play a game?
This is Bring Back the 80s with your hosts James Alderson and me, Andy Jackson.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Bring Back the 80s podcast.
Oh, what it is? Okay.
Yes.
I forgot what we were doing.
It's number 8 today. Number 8 weeks. I love the way that we have an impromptu French class.
Well, we're going international. That's what's happening. So when we spread across the channel and into the Netherlands and beyond, then I'm going to slowly introduce more foreign languages.
After our French escapades and our episode that we did about French exchange trips, I'm surprised that we've got any foreign people listening or watching us at all.
They won't learn English.
But there we go. So on this week's edition of the Bring Back the 80s podcast, here's a little clue as to what it might be all about.
Yeah. Have a guess. Toys, isn't it?
Yeah.
Toys and just fun things when you were a kid to play with. And I've got a few bits. You may.
What was you said about the value of your car?
Yeah. As I emptied my car, I think it halved in value. The minute I took all this stuff out. So it's a slow collection that I've built up over time. People think, oh, James, you've got money. No, not anymore. It's all about this fireplace. We've had to move, haven't we? For those who are listening, they don't realise, but we had to move into a little side suite.
It's only this time of the year, but they've already started Christmas here at the Spring Arts and Heritage. So there's a lovely, great big Christmas display where we normally are. And as you can hear in this room that they've very kindly given us, not that we're ungrateful, it's very slightly echoey.
It's like we're in a bathroom, but we're not. I promise you, it's not that sort of show. But well, when people have been listening to this, it's the beginning of November, so I suppose Christmas stuff will start being everywhere anyway.
Yeah.
But the Spring Arts Centre are always a little bit ahead of the game. I think they hate Halloween, so they're trying to skip past the pumpkins and the witches. No witches work here, but I'm just saying, in the right. So we're here at the beginning. We're here in episode 8, all about toys in the 80s.
I'm on the podcast today as well. I'm going to take you back to your childhood at various points throughout this as well.
That's lucky.
I want you to imagine that you're on the, if you can remember that far back, imagine you're watching the Saturday morning TV.
Yeah.
And you've been watching all the cartoon shows. And then between that, you got wall-to-wall ads for things that you obviously didn't need, but must have. I'm going to kick one off straight away.
Yeah.
With this one. So with Christmas coming up not too far away, maybe you would have been hassling your parents for one of these.
This is Stock Car Smash Up. Pull and off they go. They're going to crash. Never mind. They can be quickly rebuilt. Stock Car Smash Up from Palatoy.
Now, if you don't remember what that was, it was cars that you would race, but they would deliberately have bits that would fall off.
Yeah.
So when they smashed into each other like stock cars, and I must admit, as a kid, I was obsessed with going and watching stock car racing.
Oh, okay.
I loved seeing all the cars smashing into each other. So that would have been definitely something that I would have wanted.
Yeah. I mean, now that's basically how people drive anyway on the roads.
In my car.
Yeah. You go to any major junction where they've put a roundabout and traffic lights and random lanes marked out. That is like a destruction derby stock car race. But yes, I do remember that. And Palatoy, of course, made all the Star Wars stuff in this country. So they made Millennium Falcon and stuff. So they must have been loaded in the 80s, that company.
If you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, literally behind James at the moment, there is the Millennium Falcon Starship.
Yes.
Now, how much did that retail for at the time?
It's about £25.95
at the time. So that would have been...
I'm guessing worth about 120 quid in today's money. Yeah.
Crazy amounts of money.
I guess it is. I mean, I wasn't earning in the 80s, so I can't really get my head around it. But, it's... I mean, when you look at that as 25, 26 quid and the big tin of Quality Street was 9 quid, I suppose it wasn't a huge leap to look at that and think, well, will get them one. But these kids in the 80s, kids, boys mostly, had whole rooms full of this Star Wars stuff. You know, it was just, I mean, how much parents spent on this stuff, I've got no idea.
It was, we were saying earlier as well, that the Star Wars was the first big sort of thing where they tapped into the merchandising.
Yeah.
Before that, the film would come out. There wouldn't be any other crap to go with it.
No, I mean, you might get an annual.
Yeah.
For the Saint or whatever it was, the Avengers. I don't know. Blue Peter. You know, programs on TV and in films would have something. They might have, I don't know, maybe not much actually, but the Thunderbirds might have had a few things and stuff. But as soon as late 70s, early 80s came out, George Lucas, I mean, he went crazy with the toys and all the gadgets and all the spaceships. So yeah, and then from then on, of course, every film had toys and stuff to do with it ever since.
And you've always, because that's where probably there's more money in the toys of the merchandising now than there is. You were talking about Thunderbirds. I always aspired to having one of the, the Thunderbirds island things, and I remember on Blue Peter,
Tracy Island,
that was the one.
Yeah,
Tracy Island.
Make your own.
And they were so expensive that on Blue Peter, they actually did a thing where you can make your own Tracy.
Was it Anthea Turner? I can't remember who it was. It might have been the one earlier than that, but whoever it was, I was paying more attention to her than anything that they were making. Disgraceful. But yes, of course, Thunderbirds I don't remember because you're a little bit older than me.
It's teeny tiny.
So yeah, I mean, the toys that you got, I mean, I seem to remember a lot of board games when I was a kid, and it wasn't a problem, you know, because we were in the analog. Certainly the first half of the 80s was all analog. So everything you got, you built, or you like Mousetrap, the board game, you bloody built the thing before you had to play it. That was the most annoying bit.
Can we just take a little commercial break actually here?
Oh, okay.
It is a Saturday morning.
Go on then.
Mousetrap and Rebound. 2 games of cunning from Ideal. Build the craziest mousetrap that was ever made to catch a mouse. Kick the bucket down the chute, turn the handle, take a dive, and... Now Rebound. And the pressure's building up. Great shot next door. Home team with one more go. Aim. Shoot! Through the 2 blues and he's done it. Oh, now I'll have to ask him round again. Mousetrap and Rebound. They're both Ideal.
Now, is it funny that we all remember Mousetrap?
Yeah.
Has anybody got any clue at all what Rebound?
I don't know.
What was Rebound all about?
It sounded like a football-based thing, but that bloke, where did they get him to do the voiceover? It doesn't sound 80s.
Do you know that was John Pertwee?
Was it?
Who? Because one thing that I could do is voices, and I'm pretty sure that was John Pertwee.
Wow.
And was he Doctor Who at the time?
Oh, maybe that's right. Yes, maybe.
He might well have been, because he was, he was the friendly doctor.
I was just come out of being the Doctor. Maybe that's why he was available for voiceover. It's just scratching around to advertise a board game we never bloody heard of called Rebound.
I'll be all.
Hi, available for voiceovers. A Mousetrap, I remember enjoying building it and wanting the cage to fall down. I don't remember how you play the game, and I don't really remember enjoying playing it. I just wanted that cage to fall down on the mouse.
This is the thing. I don't think anybody ever actually played these assembled ball games, because we all had a Mousetrap, and you would spend probably half a day putting it together. They had teeny tiny little bits,
yes,
didn't they?
Yeah.
It was all very complicated the way you had to put it together.
Yeah.
But as to the actual gameplay, if there was such a thing, you're right. We just wanted to see the cage come down.
Yeah, and like Operation, where there was all those little bits that you had to put into the body of the man to get them out, and somebody always lost one of the bits. You lost the frog that went in the gut or whatever it was. I can't remember. It was a frog, I think, or Buckaroo, and he had all those things on the donkey or whatever it was, an ass. And don't put lots of tools on my ass. Yes, but you lose a few of the spades and a few of the buckets, and always lots of little bits. That seemed to be the thing. Lots of little bits to really get you going.
You're right.
Swallow.
And if you think about and Swallow and choke to death on.
Yes.
With the Operation game as well, rather than me try to describe it, let's just go back to that Saturday morning TV advert.
Okay.
It's my turn to operate. Operate? You've messed it up, Butterfingers!
It's Operation, the mad doctor's game.
Take out his spare ribs for £100. No, you'll never do that. Don't touch your sides. Here goes his funny bone.
You need a very steady hand.
I did it. That's £200 for me.
Can I have a go?
Operation, the mad doctor's game from MB Games.
The mum obviously was horrified when she thought the kids were doing a real operation.
Oh, okay.
Then she walked in, she found Oliver Twist. All right, Mark.
Oh, blimey, governor.
What's all of a twist?
Oh, come then, that help you operate. The apple and pears, mate. Yay.
But the mum came round to the thing. But if you think back to what Operation was, although you were taking out the funny bone, although you were taking out, whatever little bit, the whole thing literally was you were just doing the same thing over and over again. It was just putting the little tweezers in, trying to pull something out without the buzzer going off. That was the game.
But they were in that advert, they were mentioning money. But what's that about? I don't remember any money being involved.
Again, it's one of these things where there was probably rules and there was probably a way to do it. All we wanted to do was make the buzzer go.
Yeah, and
that's all it was.
And it was magical because, I like we were saying, it was no longer analogue. It had moved into the time where we had electronics involved. I mean, behind you, you've got like a speak and spell. We've got lots of things around us, little handheld games and stuff, where batteries and electronics were introduced during the 80s into games. And I think that was probably one of the early days, very early 80s Operation game, maybe even before that, actually, where electronics had a light up red nose. Bloody amazing.
Whoa. There was one advert that I was going to bring, but it was just literally you needed to see it, so I didn't bother this time around. But it was glasses with a light on them, and you had a button in your hand, so you could make your glasses, like sunglasses, light up, and that was the thing.
Oh, great!
So that was it.
So $24.95
didn't take off, and of course all these things needed batteries, and in those days always little tiny bit of small print at the bottom, batteries not included.
Of course, like the classic film. Yes, yeah, great. Yeah, so I just remember most of my memories are board games. I think we've got obviously and things like this. We've got the Paul Daniels Magic Set. I mean, in here there must be so many chokeable items.
100%.
All these little tiny things, and that was before, of course, pen lids had holes put in. Because some bloody idiot had to have the Heimlich maneuver halfway through maths because he was bored and chewing on the end of his pen.
Pen lid, obviously, and then just slips down. And
you just don't hear from Neil ever again. Yes, but then after that, of course, they still swallowed the lids because they're bloody idiots. But you could hear that they were choking because there was a whistling sound coming from the back of the classroom.
Maybe that's where they got the idea for the whistling pops. A choking child inspired a big toy corporation.
Oh God, yeah. So lots of choking things, and that was around the time where they started saying not to carrier bags over your head. They started printing that on carrier bags. Please don't put this on your head. And it was game over then when health and safety gone.
Just went crazy. The size of this box has inspired me. I think I did have.
Paul Daniels was only small, remember?
He was tiny, wasn't he? Was he with the lovely Debbie McGee?
He was. I think that probably was. He looks happy, doesn't he?
See, I would have put the lovely Debbie McGee on the box as well, but.
She's inside.
She must be inside, yeah. But obviously you got all these little choky bits, but the size of the box has reminded me that there was a similar size box that I remember being given either for Christmas or for my birthday, and it was a chemistry set. It was like a homemade chemistry set.
Yeah.
And I'm just remembering the things that were in this chemistry set now.
Hydrochloric acid?
There was acid in there. There was a little Bunsen burner that you could fill with methylated spirits. And
my God.
Set fire to. And these kids, if my childhood was relatively normal, I would be, who knows, I would be quite happily sort of playing up in their bedroom with fire and acid and all kinds of stuff like that. Why the house never burnt down, I don't know. But can you imagine giving kids, a lighter and methylated spirits and say, off you go with that?
Have a go with that. I mean, that wasn't sold near where I live. That would have been allowed in Lee Park and just give him some acid and Bunsen burner. What's the worst that could happen? Oh dear, the block of housing's gone. But yes, no. So you were playing with acid and Bunsen burners and chemicals when you were a kid. Well, it explains a lot, Andy. But here we are today. So, and you've managed to pull through okay.
Still got my eyebrows and everything, so it couldn't have been all bad.
Were you one of the kids that used to turn his eyelids inside out?
No, but I don't remember.
Do you remember the kid in class who always did that?
There was a kid in my class, one of the schools I went to, who had a glass eye, and his trick was taking his glass eye out.
Oh, that's not nice.
No, it wasn't.
Is that in Paul Daniels' box? A set of tricks. Here we go. Remove your eye. Don't swallow it. Okay.
And this was how starved of entertainment we were, where it was, you would practice turning your eye.
Oh, no.
And it was horrible. It was horrible.
Well, you turn to your friend next to you halfway through the lesson and go, and they go, what's up, Alderson? He said, sir, he's turning his eyelids. Shut up, Alderson. Yeah, but he's doing it detention. Oh, Christ, again. Oh, it's horrible. Those sorts of things. Eyelids inside out. and scratching your name with a compass in your desk. They were the most entertaining things that happened during a lesson, really. Unless you had a Bunsen burner or a chemistry set.
Chemistry lessons were always good. I particularly always got excited. Did you do like practical science stuff where you would have to put stuff in there? There was like a smoke thing where all the really dangerous chemicals would go behind a glass screen, and they would pull the screen down, and then it would take all the noxious fumes away.
I wasn't allowed in those lessons.
The other thing that I remember as well, and maybe maybe it was only at the school I went to, but when we did science, they had the gas Bunsen burners.
Right, yes, yeah.
So remember the gas Bunsen burners? And they were taps on the desk.
Of course.
And we always used to think what fun it would be just to leave the taps open.
People did, yeah.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. Why did the schools never blow up? Because we're literally just leaving gas running.
Especially with the flicking the switch in the 80s, with the spark that always used to come from the back of the switch. You'd think that Mr. Jenkins would walk in and go, bye-bye physics block, or biology or chemistry. Yeah, that's a good point. You'd walk in and the teacher would be like, right, everybody back out for a minute. Sorry, open the windows, the big sash windows in the side of the lab. You're all stood there in your lab coats like idiots. But yeah. So I mean, that was they had the chemistry sets. They had electric wiring sets as well. I don't know if you ever got them. I was never. It was just me and my mum, so she never gave me things like that. And because I wasn't really that good with my hands. I mean, obviously now I'm brilliant, ladies. But I can't wire a plug, but I can find my way around a dark room.
Sometimes there's even someone else in there, James?
There is. Where's that laptop? So yeah, but yeah, it's. I mean, Christmas obviously was the main thrust of when you got your toys, wasn't it? I mean, I was spoiled, so I seemed to get them all the bloody time. But Christmas was the big one, and obviously we're doing some fantastic Christmas episodes where we can talk about the Argos catalogue and stuff like that. But all of these just create that sort of excitement. Obviously, for the ladies, we've got Cindy and Barbie stuff. I think there's Barbie stuff behind me there. You probably can't quite see it. And Cindy, and they had dolls' houses, and they had dolls to do. We had Action Man, and obviously they started bringing out characters for like He-Man and Thundercats and all these sorts of things. But the ladies seem to always have lots of Cindy and Barbie stuff.
It was always, there was a line drawn in the sand. These toys are for the boys.
Yeah.
These toys are for the girls.
Yeah.
Until this product came along, and listen to the gender neutral that they're trying to make this particular product in this one.
You can draw quickly and easily with the amazing Sketchograph. Pin down the Sketchograph firmly, guide the pointer over any map, picture or pattern. Using a felt tip pen, you will get a faithful reproduction on paper, wood and most materials. By moving the pointer on the Sketchograph, it will also reduce or enlarge. It's fun and entertaining for children and students of any age, but parents can use it too. Ladies, with a Sketchograph, you can make an original embroidery pattern from any magazine or book, and Dad can use it in the workshop. Sketchograph, a great hobby for all the family.
So Dad's in the workshop.
Of course he is.
Obviously, Mum is doing the knitting bands, embroidery. Obviously. Wow. Never the twain shall meet.
It's funny, isn't it? You just couldn't. Well, firstly, there'd be an outcry now if that was done. And whilst we may migrate to those positions in life naturally, whether you're a girl or a boy, it's just you would never get an advert like that now telling people how they would use something.
But I think you brought one of your toys along from your childhood.
Well, this is what I was bought when I was 16. I wanted it, and
just describe it for people who are just watching.
The Barbie fashion designer, and it's got 6 colouring pencils and a special crayon holder with a crayon, by the way. And it's you could just design dresses and then just wipe them out afterwards. And just the plates, where you could just wipe them off after you've designed them. I show that to the thing. So it's Barbie. I mean, Barbie stuff was everywhere. Cindy was a bit of a competitor. I think by the late 80s she'd sort of died down. I think not died down. She just died. But yes, it's the end of Cindy. But Barbie was.
Isn't there a Barbie film out? Is it a Barbie film?
Barbie film just come out or finished? It's just finished by the time people see this. And I think they've missed the message in Barbie really, but. We'll gloss over that. They should be bringing one out about Ken, obviously. Or Alan. Do you know there's an Alan? No.
No.
Okay, no, nobody did, but there was an Alan. Google it. But yes, it's yeah. No, I was more into my Matchbox toys, and behind you, obviously, we've got the big winner, I think, of the early 80s, maybe even into the 70s. We could all agree with toys is Fisher-Price. If you were a young child in the 70s and 80s, if you didn't have Fisher, well, everybody did. There's not even a point of pointing it out. Fisher-Price was everyone's. Tills, the garage.
Well, yeah, this is, and I can still remember playing with this Fisher-Price garage because it was kind of ubiquitous. Every single house had one of these, and it was a thing to put your Matchbox toys on.
Of course, yeah,
and then slide them down the ramp, put them in the lift, wind the lift up. Can I make the noise? There you go.
I mean, that is the. And behind me, up there, is the Fisher-Price, what I call the first iPad. First Fisher-Price Activity Centre as well. Same noises, and everybody. I don't know how much they were, but every house had them. I think under every kid's bed, even when you were 15, you still had a Fisher-Price something or other under there, a record player or a till, as I say, or a moving TV that seemed to have those weird sort of moving lines across it with the Bar Black Sheep playing or something. And now I find it very weird that every horror film has got these old Fisher-Price music in the background. You're watching the scariest scene and it goes ding, 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 ding. And you're like, shit, what's going to happen? It's like, no, that's my childhood. It's nothing scary. Oh, it is, shit. So it's wind-up musical stuff is in every horror film. And it was our childhood. So I think it makes it doubly scary.
Because they always came to life in the films, didn't they? Always came to life.
Yeah, and never in real life, of course. None of our toys came to life. They were all just boring, static, analog stuff until the late 80s. And then we got all these ZX Spectrums, the Atari, the Speak and Spells, all these handheld gadgets. Everything came alive in the late 80s, didn't it? It was just a magic time.
I think with things like the Ataris and with things like the ZX Spectrum as well, that was the first time where you would be playing but educating yourself without realising that you were... Yeah. Because it was quite a big deal to try to get a program running on a ZX Spectrum.
Yeah.
And you would be making your own little bits of programming. I remember that I could make something print infinitely.
Yeah.
That was as far as I ever got.
That's what I did.
But I was at that print, go to line 1, print, and it was like, it would just go around forever. And I thought, oh my God,
yeah.
I've made it do that.
I learned how to do that solely so I could leave the school computer running saying sir is a dick or whatever. I just go up and down, like, oh, who did this? Older sir, detention. What? Again? Just constantly running and then send it to the dot matrix printer as well. Yeah. I mean, I guess you were sort of educating yourself a little bit. It helped us now because, our generation, or the first generation, these computers arrived in your house in the 80s. So, yeah, we're a bit more au fait with it now. I think that the generation before us, when these things arrived in your houses, it was mental, wasn't it? They had no idea what the hell was going on.
It was a completely foreign world.
Yeah.
If you hadn't, it'd be like growing up in the 1800s and suddenly somebody saying there's an electric light.
Yes.
And you wouldn't be able to comprehend.
No.
What was going on there?
No. Sometimes looking around now, I do feel like I was born in the 1800s. How does that light work? But I think it's nice. It's nice that we had that opportunity to have that because it helped us with going on to work and stuff to have computers around. But you can't beat a Paul Daniels magic set, really.
We're talking about things getting more and more complicated. I know that in the world in which we live, with the technological advances going on, that sometimes it does make life more complicated because I spent a good day sorting out my house to get all the lights controlled by Alexa.
Oh no.
And it's just easier to switch the switch than say, because it says, Alexa, turn on the kitchen light. Did you mean the bedroom? What the hell?
Playing the Lights by Justin Bieber. It's like, what? Don't do that. Don't play music.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. No, don't. I mean, Google is great and Alexa is great when it works. And I suppose it's the same as back in those days, when you're trying to... I mean, Speak and Spell, that was great when you could make it say swear words. But there was times when it just was pointless. I guess it was a bit more basic than these days. These days, technology tries to just be a bit too bloody clever. And I reckon, again, in about 10, 20 years, it'll be fine. But at the moment, in its infancy, it's like when people turned on the gas in the 1905 and the house blew up. It's like, this is pointless. 20 years later, it was all fine. And I think we're in that transitional period now, Andy, where it's not us. We're not bollocks at technology. It's the technology that's the problem. And that's our excuse, and we're sticking to it.
Have you tried making Alexa play this very podcast yet? Have you tried? Have you asked her?
No. Because my wife gets fed up with me playing it anyway. So if I start saying, Alexa, Bring Back the 80s, my wife will just hear a scream from another part of the house. Play it everywhere, all the time. But yeah, like my boys will be going on, they'll play a podcast, obviously not ours, and I'll be listening and go, do you want to turn that down a bit? And they just look at me with death stare. And every now and again, I'll go on and see what numbers we're at on the podcast, and it'll blast out, and my boys will just look at me and go, I'll turn that down a bit. Like, 110,000 views, by the way, on YouTube. 110,000.
Thank you for watching and listening as well.
Thank you.
And on the subject of the podcast, one thing that we must try to remind ourselves to ask you to do every time is, if you like this podcast, if you could just let one other person know about this podcast, just send them the link from bringbackthE80spodcast.com. You don't have to be a Spotify user. You don't have to have Spotify to make it work. You listen on any other platforms. On Apple, on Amazon, whatever.
Fax. We'll fax you it. The script.
Or to just say, Alexa, play Bring Back the 80s podcast.
Yeah, you can. And I think tell somebody, but don't tell anybody. Don't tell your children, don't tell your parents. If you've got a favourite friend, tell them, because they'll thank you later. They'll say, I listened to that, and now I feel really old, so thank you for that. So
they might be able to help you with our mystery sound, because I remember at the end of last week's mystery sound, you said, that is the first thing that I've ever played you that you've not recognised.
No, that's right.
Which was this.
Yeah.
And for the first time ever, we have not had a correct answer to that.
See, I think people were just doing it to make me feel better. Well, I'm not going to have a guess at that because James doesn't know it, so we'll leave it, shall we? Otherwise, he'll feel bad.
So we're going to roll this over.
Okay.
So if you know what it is, it's a pair of tickets to one of your shows.
Yeah, sure. Or a T-shirt, which we haven't got here today because we don't really have the place to present it. But it's a Bring Back the 80s nice black T-shirt in all sizes.
Collector's edition, you could say. Very, very
limited
rare.
edition.
Very limited.
I haven't got any smalls in it. Basically because, to be absolutely honest with you, and I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but when you're middle-aged, no one needs a small T-shirt. We've all got the middle-aged spread going on. Now, is it time for my James's Lunchbox surprise?
Lunchbox surprise would be fantastic. Yes, it's the high point of the podcast.
Well, everybody says that's all we skip to. Now, open that up, and as usual, there's one for each of us, so don't be naughty and take them both.
So if you're just listening to this, it's the Transformers lunchbox that everybody will be taken to school.
And because it's a toy thing, I thought we'd get these to make for each other. And it's the flying planes that were made out of sort of
balsa wood, isn't it? Is it balsa?
Well, it's a bit, no, it was the foamy sort of ones. These ones, But I think the earlier ones, back when you were younger, they were made out of wood. But these were all foam. And I haven't opened one of these for so long. That I'm not too sure.
Again, you've already found a chokeable bit.
Yes, we have. Of course we have. There's a chokeable little propeller. Is there anything else in there? No, that's everything, I think.
Got the body of a Spitfire. Is it?
Thank you.
It's a Spitfire?
I think you're looking at my fuselage. That's my propeller you're talking about.
Just remember to retract your undercarriage.
Yes, please. I do have some chokeable devices. Right, okay. So, stop it. Okay.
I think we should actually do this as a competition to see who can assemble this.
Yeah.
Who can assemble this first? Because last time we said nobody would ever be able to assemble to wire a plug or anything.
No, I can't do. I mean, to be honest, we might have to tell people to tune in next time. No, these are the same. I think the foam is slightly different. The printing isn't quite so
probably not as poisonous as it used to.
Yeah, it doesn't have lead in it.
Okay, well, I've already got my wings attached here.
Yeah, have you got your wings around the wrong way though? No, they're the right way. Yeah. So these were great and they're very similar. Actually, oh,
you've broken yours.
No, I nearly did. Because they've got flaps, which are great. They were always good for making it fly properly. You could tilt them. I think the foam is slightly. No, I have done it. Oh shit! No, I have bust it. That's not good, is it? Don't touch the flaps. This is my life motto. Right. So, yeah, and you get the propeller.
You say I'm looking for a rubber band. I'm sure they
they didn't have rubber bands. You are thinking of the balsa wood ones, and I understand that. But these are the ones that you'd get with your pocket money for a quid or 50p or 20p. Well, quid, of course, it would be a quid. But yeah, and they were great. I love. I'm going to try mine, but I have knackered the back up. That's not good because I don't remember that happening before. But they have got flaps on, and let's see if I can get it to go. Yeah, I don't. Mine is mine.
Yours is looking French, actually. Yeah,
I don't know what mine is. Probably not French, is it? Let's see. Let's see what we're going to do. Oh, yeah.
Look at
that.
There we
go. That flowed brilliantly.
Very impressive.
With paper planes, they were quite common, weren't they, in the school classroom? And I was quite good at doing a basic paper plane. But there was always one kid that could do bloody brilliant ones that were just so unique and flew to the end of the classroom, out the door and down the block and round the corner and into the tuck shop or something.
And then came back.
Yeah, that's it, with people on. So it's and I always felt jealous of those people. But these were a way of having a nice bit of flight that would be guaranteed. Are you still fiddling?
I'm still fiddling. I've got a different design.
Yeah, yours is no instructions with yours. Have you got some sort of chemicals loaded onto yours, or is there electronics or something? What have you done? You've lost a bit.
On here, it's all full.
Where's the plastic end to it?
There's no plastic end in
there is.
There's no plastic end in that bag.
You've knackered it. It's down the side somewhere. We'll find it.
Anyway.
Okay. I think it won't fly without the weight.
It's a glider.
Is it?
It's going to fly as a glider.
Yeah, let's see. Yes.
It's a proper loop-the-loop.
Yeah, I don't think anyone survived that. That's not going into the chemistry lab, is it? Yeah, so there we go. A bit of cheap pocket money toy fun there. And it's the first time I haven't brought food and sweets in, so I can only apologise. But I thought because it's toys, why not? Why not?
The great thing is straight into landfill as well now.
Of course.
Rather than
well, yes, I guess. Although that goes into landfill
upside,
as well.
Yes. So there we go. So just a little reminder again of our recurring mystery sound.
Oh, well, we're doing a rollover.
It's a rollover. So this is it. I'm going to give a clue just in case you're not watching this. And I'm going to give a clue. And I'm going to say it would be something you would raise to your eyes.
Okay.
But it's not a camera.
Or binoculars.
Or binoculars. Yeah. But that is it. If you know what that is, do take a guess. There might be a clue hidden around the place somewhere.
There might be.
If you're watching
on our set
on YouTube, there might be a tiny clue. Let us know what you think that is. Bring back the 80s podcast at gmail.com, or you can let us know on TikTok or YouTube or Twitter or X or Facebook or Instagram, whatever the hell.
We're not on Threads, are we?
We're not on Threads.
Thank God.
I draw the line.
That is it. The loose thread, if it was, yeah. I've just spotted over my shoulder, actually, and I know this seems to be going in the male-orientated route, although maybe I can't say that now, but behind me is Sabutio, and that is an 80s, very popular 80s game. Again, around a bit earlier, but in the 80s, it really had a resurgence. They really got complicated. They had stadiums, and they had the pitch, and they had all sorts of goals and all sorts of things going on. Did you ever have Sabutio?
I think, again, it's one of these things that everybody would have.
I got one purely because everyone had one. I don't think I really played it a huge amount, and used to get fed up with flicking the players and then they'd fall over, because in the 80s football players didn't fall over.
Right.
But these days you flick a footballer in the Premiership and they do fall over, so it seems very, very state of the art now. I think it's actually on sale still. Sabutio is still going, so this is one of those long lasting ones. There's not many of these toys that are still about today. I think you could probably get a Speak and Spell, maybe. Do you think you can get an Etch-a-Sketch? What else could you get?
There will be like virtual versions of all these things as well. I think they're still making like Game Boys on Argos.
Are they?
Yeah, and you can still get
it's like a DS or something. Like Nintendo DS.
They've replaced them, or done a thing, but
upgrade.
They're at £15 for one of those now on Argos. Yeah.
I mean, you could get lots of handheld games, but what you can't get is a Blockbusters or a Teleadex board game.
Board games are the family games. I mean, I don't know. Did you ever play Monopoly? Was that ever a thing in your house?
God, yeah.
And I always think Monopoly always sounds like it's a really good idea. We'll say, should we get the Monopoly out? And it comes out at Christmas. And then it just goes on forever. It just goes. And there's always somebody who knows the trick. And whoever knows the trick to winning keeps it a closely guarded secret. I don't think in my entire life have I ever won a game of Monopoly. And I don't know, because it's like my real version of life, I think. I always get a house for a little while, then it goes to a wife, and then you always lose the house. It's like a practice for my real life.
Andy, come and live in Mayfair with me. Oh dear, not the dirty magazine. So yes, yeah, well that's true. I mean, but it's a good point. There's always the same bloody person who wins.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is, whether they're just lucky buggers or whether there is a trick. Obviously we know that you've got to get Park Lane and Mayfair. That's a given. If you can get them, you basically win, don't you? But they always get hotels everywhere, and I've got Old Kent Road, and that's it. And you just sit there thinking, what the hell?
Or the waterworks.
Yeah.
What good is waterworks to anybody?
My wife comes out with all these rules, and me and my boys go, that is bollocks. And then she opens up the rules and goes, see? You think, all that money on free parking? I didn't even know that was a thing. But yeah. So Monopoly, you see, what it is the minute that games and toys went digital or battery powered was when we lost that.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. And it's nice when kids are like under 7 or under 8 because they've probably got iPads or they're playing with technology, but they do still want to get involved in the analog toys and games still. And that's nice for family.
I like a nice, good, simple game as well. Even I could manage to follow the rules of this one. It's back to Saturday morning TV now, in between the cartoons. This would come on.
It's the Connect 4 competition. Who'll be the first to connect a line of 4? Dave's trying for a horizontal line, but Sue's spotted it. She's blocked him, and she's going for the vertical. Dave's too quick, and he's seen it. He's going for the diagonal line.
I've got it! Where? Here, 4 on the line.
Connect 4 from MB Games.
I think that's the same Oliver Twist we heard 4 in a line.
Cool, blimey. I've only gone and done it, mister. The thing is that you would be playing with someone and just about to beat them, and before you got the chance, they pull that flap from underneath so it would all just collapse on the table because they'd be so cross at you.
Maybe that's the only kind of thing that my brain can cope with. But it was so simple. You just had to get 4 in a row, either across or up and down.
Yeah.
Or tricky, if you're tricky, going diagonally.
That is life, Andy. It was simple in the 80s and now it's over bloody complicated. I mean, Downfall, which I've got down here, which is the one very much like a Connect 4 sort of theme where you turn them and you've got to slot the different things in the little turny bits and they drop down to the bottom. It's all so cleverly created, but it's a simple concept. And I think that's probably why people who grew up in the 80s are simple. No, it's why life was so much more straightforward. And now to get kids entertained, they've got to have an iPad playing, they've got to have a handheld something or other, they've got to have an Xbox controller, the TV on, and some sort of podcast.
It's got something going on, all of us. There's multi, you're not paying really close attention to anything.
No.
And it's like you say, you've got your phone, you've got your iPad, you've got maybe the TV on. But I can't remember the last time my kids would ever even dream of putting the TV on to watch like real-time TV.
Oh, no.
Might put it on to watch something on Netflix or something, but they're not going to wait for something to come up.
The adverts are on. Cool, blimey, Connect 4. Come and get it for Christmas, governor. And then, can you imagine kid, like a 12-year-old or 13-year-old having an advert like that to try and appeal to them to buy it? They'd just be like, what? Is our telly haunted? What's this going on now? Yeah, that's very... such an easy way to captivate our minds. With adverts like that. But you're right, you sit down Saturday morning and you're watching Swap Shop or you're watching, I don't know what it was, Whack a Day or whatever the things were that were on in the mid-80s, and those adverts in between, wow, they really slammed us with hard hitting toys all the time, and constantly.
I'm sure there was a rule as well that said they're not supposed to advertise directly to children. Every single advert with a toy is obviously going straight to a child. How they've ever managed to get around that, I don't know. There's certain things that have lasted through the years as well, 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties, and it's, I think, racing cars is always going to be one thing that's going to stick around. But do you remember these ones?
Matchbox announced the nearest thing yet to the thrills of a real-life car chase. Matchbox Race and Chase. It's the only slot car set that lets you U-turn, like real cars. You can jump. You can race. And you can actually control those U-turns. Matchbox Race and Chase, the first car chase that's safe for kids.
Was that Kid Jensen?
David Kid Jensen.
Yes. The American accent there. All the English kids go, it's an American voice. It must be a cool toy.
And on the actual advert as well, it was an American police car as well. But the selling point of this was you could do a U-turn. That was the selling point.
No. Well, was it wired as well, not remote control or something? I don't know what was going on there.
Remember.
That was the one bugbear I had of any toy, is that it had, the early ones, it had a remote control. But then you got it out of the box and it had a remote control, but it had a 3-foot wire connecting the remote control to the toy. And even with those, I felt so sad because I'm an animal lover, or certainly was before I got my cat. And we had one of those jumping toys, the jumping puppies that would sit down and go, and then you press the flick button on the thing. They did it on their own later in the 80s, and it would flip over. But because it had a wire, it would garrote itself, and it was very sad. And I'd get very upset, like, and try and untangle it all. And you'd have a remote control car, and but it wasn't. You got it out of the box, and they hid the remote in the photograph on the box, and it looked like it was wireless. And then it had a 4-foot or 3-foot or 2-foot wire. You had to run behind it.
They were always big, bulky remote controls to get those big batteries. You had to have like 2 or 4 of those big batteries. You make it work.
And huge aerial. And you had to pull the aerial up, and your mate would be like, "Can I have a go?" And you turn the remote and plug your eye out. Everybody wanted to play with that when you were outside.
I remember as well, it's just with the whole thing about things connected by wires. The most pointless invention ever as well was walkie-talkies. You could have walkie-talkies, but they would be connected by wire.
And you close the door between you and sever the wire. Better to have 2 cups and a bit of string. They worked quite well.
But just imagine how starved of entertainment we were, where the day's entertainment was one person would be downstairs, you'd go upstairs with the length of wire to one of the rooms upstairs, and then you would speak to each other through the wires, but in different rooms.
Yeah.
That was top class 80s entertainment.
You could just sit and go, "Are you there? Over." They go, "What?" I can't change it, turn it up. What? And you just shout through the floor like that. "Come down, get new batteries," or whatever it was. Yeah, the wires were the bane of our lives, weren't they? Everything was wired, and then they came to a point where they got rid of the wires. But when you unboxed it, everything was tied into the box with wires. That was the worst thing. I don't think they do that now. I'm not sure. But everything was wired in, twisted in, or screwed in, or something.
Screwed in, or like the little plastic, the pull tag things as well. That you would have to have scissors to be able to actually take the thing out of to release it. Yeah. Why did they need to do that?
Well, because idiots like me were pissing around with it, or they didn't want you to get to your chemistry set, maybe. That was probably it. Don't let him. Stop it. Yeah, good time. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, we got a Rubik's Cube. We haven't mentioned that. That was the classic. That was the classic 80s success story. Was it Professor Rubik? I don't know what he did, but he did lots of things that pissed me right off, and I was rubbish at any of it. Are you good at puzzles?
I can't do anything.
No,
I can't.
You can't do something.
I can't play cards. I can't do Rubik's cubes. I hate Monopoly. Anything with rules. The only thing that I can do is connect 4. That's as far as I can go.
Well, that's as far as you can count, isn't it? As well. Under 12. Is that right? Under 12? Yeah. But there were people at school who could do the bloody Rubik's Cube in 7 seconds or something.
Behind their back, like that. Oh. Could do it. It's just like ridiculous.
And people are still doing the competitions now, and I couldn't do it. I tell you how bad I was at Rubik's Cube. I couldn't even make it work when I peeled all the stickers off and stuck them back on. I still couldn't get the colours to match. That's how rubbish I was. And then they brought out the snake Rubik's, and then they brought out the one with the circular one, and then they brought out a flat one with wires in between the squares and twisted them around and buggered it. I was rubbish. And then someone would turn up and go, "Oh, I'll do it."
Like that. Yeah.
And then we always fell out. No friends with them anymore. Too smart.
Far too smart, which is why we're here doing this podcast rather than running the country. That's why.
Yeah, and no friends here.
And that, I think, is a suitable point as in where we say thank you very much for watching and listening and taking part. As we mentioned earlier on, if you've liked this little bit of 80s nonsense, share it with one person.
Yeah.
They might be able to help you identify this. If you can identify that, as it's a rollover We got a t-shirt. Oh yeah, super soft. I'm still stroking the t-shirt.
We're stroking here. It's not here.
Super soft. Bring back the 80s t-shirt.
Yeah.
Or tickets to one of your
ticket to a show.
80s.
Bring back the 80s tour show. We've got a few dates left. I think by the time people see this, we've got a few in the Chichester area. And early next year up towards the north of Hampshire as well. So
that is what you're busy with. I'm busy with my usual stuff on Wave 105. Evenings from 8 till midnight. What's the other day?
Sunday mornings.
Bright and early with your breakfast. Listen to Andy on Wave 105. So there we are. That is edition 8 of the podcast. You're going to ask me what's number 9. I'm going to say to you, James, I've not got a flipping clue.
It doesn't matter, does it? Because we'll be here anyway doing it. And I'll probably still be playing with the Transformers.
Until next time, we'll say goodbye. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
We will.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to this week's edition. We'd love it if you could subscribe in your favourite podcast app. And don't forget, there's a video version on YouTube too. You can contact us using the links in the show notes and on the YouTube channel. And we'll see you next time for another edition of Bring Back the 80s.